Welcome to Lincoln Fire and Rescue. I'm Dale Johnson. Every day we should be alert to fire hazards, but every year October focuses an entire month on staying alert. Fire Prevention Month raises our awareness about fire safety and home safety, so we are prepared in case of an emergency, not only in October but any time. This is a perfect time to bring back a conversation with Lincoln's Fire Chief Inspector, Bill Moody, and Lincoln Fire and Rescue spokesperson, Nancy Christ. So, sit back, enjoy an encore conversation on Lincoln Fire and Rescue. Welcome to Lincoln Fire and Rescue. We're glad you're here today on LNK TV. The week of October 7th through the 13th is Fire Prevention Week, not only here in Lincoln, but all across the country. The motto is look, listen, learn, be aware, fire can happen anywhere. No doubt you may be watching this conversation beyond that 7-day span, so let's just say that every week should be Fire Prevention Week, but a lot of things going on between the 7th and the 13th. And Nancy Christ is here, Lincoln Fire and Rescue Public Information Officer. She's at the table today along with Chief Fire Inspector Bill Moody. Nancy, Bill, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Both of you carving out times in your busy days to come in, but this is an important subject, isn't it? It all starts with prevention. Prevention is cheaper, generally
Absolutely.
speaking, than the resulting fire that comes from not having prevention in place. Easier to clean up, too,
Exactly.
isn't it? So we have a lot of things to cover today, and Nancy, thank you very much for providing me some information. Nationally, fire departments in this country respond to an average of one home fire every 86 seconds. So already, we've been on for about a minute and a half. Right there is a fire that's happened somewhere in this country. So let's start with the leading cause of those fires, cooking. Bill, and I'll turn to you. Take us into kitchen. And there are various degrees, I understand that, of cooking-related fires. But talk about what you see when you know you're responding to a cooking fire.
Well, cooking fires can range from very little damage to a great deal of damage. Excuse me. If a fire gets going and it's not observed very quickly, it can generate a lot of heat, get up into the cupboards, spread throughout the kitchen. Heat, smoke, gases can go through the whole house and do significant damage.
A lot of combustibles in the kitchen, especially above the stove. There are cupboards,
Yep,
countertops.
Cooking's the leading cause of fires nationally and locally here, and so we see an awful lot of them. And the main thing we see is that they're left unattended, and that's how they get the good start going.
From a prevention viewpoint, Nancy, talk about steps that people can take, need to remember when you're standing over the stove cooking. What are some good things to remember?
Well, of course, we always advocate making sure that your panhandles are turned away. You know, we got little kiddos in the house. We want to make sure those panhandles are turned away. But, you know, the other thing is if we do ignite, if a fire starts, take away the heat source. Turn off the stove. Don't try to move the pan. Sometimes people get burned in just trying to, to move the pan. So we don't advocate that. Like Chief Moody mentioned, don't leave the kitchen. Once you've started cooking, something catches your ear in the other room as far as a program or something like that, don't leave the kitchen once you've started cooking. Stay there. Don't leave it unattended.
Here's an easy one that'll pull you out of the kitchen. The doorbell rings.
Right.
Somebody's at the front door. But the same rule applies.
Same rule applies, absolutely.
Turn the heat off.
Yeah, turn the heat off.
When grease is heating, especially, it can hit that flash point pretty quickly. And once it does that, you got a full-fledged fire on top of your stove. So you need to be in attendance all the time.
Put the handle back and shut it off. What should I do? Do I put a lid on it? Obviously, don't throw water on a grease fire.
No.
Let's just say it. Everybody's thinking it. We'll say it. Don't throw water on a grease fire.
Don't throw water on a grease fire. Don't throw flour on a grease fire. There's been some misnomers about things that people try to do. We advocate just take the heat source away, call 911.
And smother it, cover it. Even using a fire extinguisher can spread that fire a little bit initially because you can blow it off the top of the stove. So the best thing to do is smother the fire, put the lid on top of it.
Arguably, no greater items to install in a home than a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector. to prevent potentially fatal events in your home? And again, I'll turn to you, Bill. Happen to guess as to the percentage of homes that you respond to as an inspector that either don't have detectors of either type installed or they're not working?
Yeah, maintained. We find that an awful lot. I think the stats are that if you have a working smoke detector in your home, that increases your chance of survivability by 88%. So that's pretty significant. The ones that we see and go into that we have problems or people get injured, usually there's not a working smoke detector in the home.
Is it code now that they're required in remodel and new construction?
Yes, and we're putting them in the bedrooms as well. We recommend a smoke detector on every level of the home and in the sleeping areas if you sleep with your doors closed. In new construction, we're hardwiring everything in.
What about CO? Is that becoming more of a requirement these days?
Yeah,
It used to be an option.
Not anymore. If you get a new gas appliance, you have to upgrade to carbon monoxide detectors. So if you get a new furnace, new water heater, part of that permitting process is that you upgrade and put CO detection in your homes.
And I've personally witnessed fire crews going to a prearranged call where they will install detectors in homes.
We do. We do. We actually have a program whereby folks can get detectors from us, and we will go into your home and install them for you. You know, we're happy to do so. The other thing that we advocate is when you change your clocks in the fall and in the spring, change your batteries. Change the batteries in those detectors. Now, there are detectors that no longer have batteries that pull out and that you change. And if you have one of those, just replace the whole detector.
Detectors have gotten better over our years, haven't they, Bill?
Yes, they have. They're much more reliable, and sensitivity is a lot greater. And so, as I said earlier, a working smoke detector is your best defense.
And they're good for 10 years.
Yep.
I'll call it solid state. You don't replace a battery, you just toss it and get another one. You see some of these old ones. I've had some archived away or thrown away or thought I'd thrown them away, and I find them again. They look like antiques. They look like, how in the world could they even function? They're so brittle and flimsy compared to the technology of today.
Right.
So get yourself, and they're not expensive, not that expensive compared to the cost of having to replace and remodel, and you're displaced if there's a fire anywhere in your home.
Another reason for the 10 years is that the sensitivity of the chamber starts diminishing at that point. And so that's why we've gone to 10-year batteries, because that coincides with the time frame that you should change that irregardless of the battery.
Nancy, I don't want to get too deep into this without having you highlight some of the activities going on during Fire Prevention Week. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking to the community. Events going on through Lincoln Fire and Rescue.
Yeah, one of the things that I do want to mention is Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department is offering the Landlord Training, and that is on October 9th from 9 to 11:30. And it's a training for landlords to be able to enjoy the benefits of learning how to promote smoke-free properties. And there are numerous benefits, and I think Chief Moody can kind of highlight some of those benefits of having a smoke-free property.
We've worked a little bit with this program with some landlord training and health department, Safer Kids, and some of those things, and the smoke-free people have been becoming very active in that. And you know, it's a good thing for the landlord for rentability purposes and everything else, and it's just easier to maintain properties and upkeep and fires. You know, I mean, unattended smoking material is a problem as well, so you eliminate that risk altogether by going smoke-free.
Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, you may be watching us beyond the 7-day duration of Fire Prevention Week. So this is the 9th, it's a Tuesday. If you're hearing us deeper into the month of October and I'm a landlord, I could reach out to you and learn the details and some of the specific skills that I need as a landlord. I can reach you as an individual, right?
Yeah, and I can forward you on to the appropriate contact. The health department is the best place to call to get that information, and I know they offer several of those trainings throughout the year, and they are very passionate about what they're doing. They are true advocates about this program and have just an awesome training already set up and in place. So I encourage any landlord that wants to dive into that program and save a lot of money in the process to do so, to contact the health department.
The next responsible step as a landlord, if I have a smoke-free building, is to provide a place for someone to discard their cigarette butts. Am I right?
You're exactly right.
And it needs to be a proper
non-combustible.
There you go. Give us examples of non-combustible. Milk jug?
No.
No. Milk jug full of sand? No. What is an appropriate disposal device? Or
Some kind of a
container?
steel can with a lid.
Coffee can.
Exactly, not a plastic one.
Metal
but
can.
a metal can with the lid. Here in Nebraska, we have wind, and wind blows constantly. And a cigarette that's not been properly extinguished with the wind blowing, it's going to keep it hot, keep it burning hot, and very likely can ignite something that's nearby. And we build buildings to withstand fire inside out, not vice versa. When a fire starts on a balcony, we usually go up the outside of the building, get in the soffit, take the roof off. So it can be pretty devastating from a single cigarette fire on the outside of a building. So proper disposal techniques and proper containers is imperative to protect property and lives.
Sand would be the material.
Sand is good.
Wouldn't it? It adds weight to the can so it doesn't blow away.
A lot of people think potting soil, but potting soil is terrible. It can cause more of a problem. So we would advise against that. Sand or dirt, something like that.
Something to stick the cigarette butt into,
and extinguish
in addition
completely.
to adding weight.
Yes.
Potting soil would lighten up, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Dry
it's too
out,
light,
lighten
yeah.
up, blow the can
Exactly.
away.
And there's too many contaminants in it as well.
Well, from a cigarette butt to open flames, I put my fire pit together the other day.
'Tis the season.
It
Very
is.
popular.
So that's one source. Fireplaces indoors, mine's gas, so I don't have a big problem. But wood burning fireplaces, but outdoors, and that's contained. Those are safe as long as they're up to code and you've got your chimney clean and everything's good. And you're not burning newspaper and Christmas wrap and other other things that you shouldn't. But are there regulations that we need to let the citizens know regarding fire pits?
Yes, Dale, there are. Basically, it starts out with you got to be 25 feet from any combustible material. So you got to be 25 feet away from your home, your neighbor's home, a wood fence. You can only burn sawed firewood. You can't burn any waste product, no sticks, trims, leaves out of the backyard. You need to have a method of extinguishment nearby and stay in attendance the whole time it's burning. So simple.
25 feet. I'll have to get the tape measure out to see how
Well,
big my patio
that's
is.
the open fire ring that's on the ground.
Yeah.
If you have a chimney with a chimney stack, that can be 15 feet.
Okay. Exit drills. I remember practicing exit drills when my son was still living at home. We talked about where to go, designated spots, go here, go there, and that way I only have one or two places that I need to look for you. Talk about exit drills, escape drills.
So throughout the whole month of October, we talk about Fire Prevention Week, but really the whole month of October is something that we dedicate at the fire department as thinking about fire prevention the whole month of October. So fire rigs are in and out of schools really the whole month of October. And exit drills is one of the major things that we talk about. And it's really simple and it's kind of fun for kids. And it's something that we talk about. We encourage kiddos to go home and say, hey, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whoever they live with, let's talk about ways to get out of the home. And we have kiddos say, oh, I would bust my window. We discourage that. We don't want kids breaking their window and climbing out for obvious reasons. Safe exit drills out of their home, and preferably a couple of safe exits out of their home. And then not only that, but also to have a rally point outside, so that in the event that something occurs inside the home, they have a place where mom and dad or whoever they live with, grandma and grandpa, knows where they are. They know that when something occurs in the home, they meet at the big tree at the neighbor's house, and everybody's accounted for.
We had a dresser by the egress window. That was the step that my son needed to get to the egress, to get up the ladder and out, meet at the tree.
Sure.
The tree house in the back, that's where you have to go, and in the front, it's the neighbor's yard.
Yep.
So,
And just having that conversation, just talking about it elicits the questions and just opens the conversation. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out, map. Just the conversation.
where do you get out, or how do you get out if the fire's here?
Right.
Or what if the fire's over here?
Yes.
And this exit is sealed. Figure it out, and it's
Yeah.
kind of, you can just see the wheels turning in the kids' minds. Well, maybe I'd crawl, get out here.
Low in smoke. We talk about that. We talk about not hiding from us. We can be kind of scary in all of our gear with SCBAs on, and that Darth Vader sounding voice. When we have our breathing apparatus on. But we talk about not hiding under beds and not hiding in closets. When we come in your room and we're looking for you to come to us, and crawl low in smoke and check the heat on the door before they open it. So really, we take advantage of a lot of education during the month of October.
Let's remind viewers again about the Landlord Training. It is Tuesday the 9th. If you're watching us and that date has come and gone, you can get a hold of the health department. Would be a good place to go. For Landlord Training, if you'd like to make your building smoke-free. Why the second week of October for Fire Prevention Week? We've given that dates, 7th through 13th. Why? What's special about second week of October?
It's always the second week in October because it commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1871.
Now, did that
October
real-
10th.
Now, how did that happen? How did that start?
Mrs. O'Leary's cow.
That's just really, did that
It's,
really?
it's,
is
it's
that
been
really how-
disproven. It was not Mrs. O'Leary's cow.
See, I knew you'd know, Bill. I knew you would know. All right.
With modern techniques, they figured out that it wasn't the cow. They don't
Okay.
know what it was,
Of
but
course,
it
the
wasn't
inspector
cow.
knows that, right?
And I knew he would. So October 7th through the 13th, Fire Prevention Week. They can go to the website, contact you,
Yep.
Nancy, good
Absolutely,
source.
absolutely.
If you'd like to get some ideas about safety in your home, work out an escape plan, you visit schools. I know fire crews visit schools a lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be in October.
You can get on the website and schedule an event for your school, for your daycare. Absolutely.
Okay, and landlords, the date is Tuesday, October 9th for that training. All right, thank you very much. Be safe, observe Fire Prevention Week, and we'll talk soon. Thanks everybody for viewing us today on LNK TV.
It's everybody's responsibility to be fire safe. Improper cigarette disposal is one of the leading causes of fires in homes.
As someone who's been a victim of a cigarette-related fire, I ask you to put out your cigarette safely.
One flick can ruin many lives.
Please, put out your cigarette safely.
Learn how to stop the fire before it starts. Visit tobaccofreelancastercounty.org for information about safe cigarette disposal.